Good to go. Right. I'm really annoyed with this because I wanted us to enter this, but I've held off until obviously we were going live. But USD CAD really like this trade. We obviously had, if you look at the 4 hour here, right? I'm just going to go through obviously the reasons why to enter this 4 hour. That there's obviously an equal high. There's been a lot of rejections from here. Right, then if we go down, we obviously had an Asia fake out. We've broken out of the London opening range. Also, another reason is the dollar here. Dollar is it just keeps on climbing. So, which is really interesting because I don't see a lot of optimism there. So, safe haven flows have been. Did I record this? Yes, I did. Safe haven flows have been, something that has been flown. We'll take a look at gold in a minute. However, I do think, like I always say, markup 99 and 98, 500, 98. I actually was expecting us this week to be consolidating in here. However, what has ended up happening is this has continued. We've now broken through. So 98, 500 is now a heavy support level because we've cleared it easy. But I do think we're going to potentially, do something like this. There isn't a lot of news today, and obviously I'll show you that Wednesday. We've obviously got some Euro speakers. We've obviously got Vice Chair Bard speaking. That's at 2:30, but nothing's happening. It all starts tomorrow. So tomorrow we also got jobless claims, and Jerome Powell's going to be pretty heavily scrutinized. We've also got later on some GDP, and then on Friday, a week later, we've obviously got some non-farm payroll. Here we go here. Non-farm payroll here. So expect a really big finish to the week. We've got a lot going on. USD CAD still like this to the downside. However, I'm looking at this and thinking, you know what, if we do retest this area, it'll be brilliant. But anywhere within here, if we look at this on a 15-minute time frame, potentially let this close, come back up, retest, and then this will be one here, which I'll be looking into because I do like the idea of it. So let me just screenshot this and put this in the group. Like I always mention as well, you need to have reasons why you're entering every single trade. And this is what I want everyone to take out of the live sessions that we're doing here, because I want you to understand my process, and then obviously, hopefully, implement it into yours. Because yeah, I mean, I did it for so many years. I would just switch on, my charts and go, right, this one looked great, and obviously I didn't really understand why. So USD CAD is one. Euro I'm monitoring, but Euro's overall pretty weak. Pound is one that I am monitoring here. Now, let's just go through GBP here. So, let's go through this to identify, to see if there's any kind of monthly levels here that we can watch out for around this area. One would be here. All right, and obviously if we're looking at this, we've probably pretty much rejected that area. So then we've obviously, like I mentioned last night, you got to identify overall trend. All right, so this is trend on a daily time frame here. You'd class this as consolidating. All right, because we've obviously got a lot of price action. It's not a trend like we would have marked up, say, for example, down here, right? It's not this trend here. Yeah. All right. So always mark up trend because it will. give you an idea of obviously what is happening here. Then if we look at, I'm going to get rid of this, the 8 hour, 4 hour, we potentially are seeing, uh, part of a downtrend here, but you could also argue we obviously made a new high, and then it's all just a little bit, messy here. So what I'm looking for here is a nice breakout, which is what we are having here. Um, and then a retest. Probably no point pushing it, but maybe a retest up into this area here, which would be a very, very nice trade for us. We could have stops here. So this would be my trade number two. Pound is about middle of the road. We will do our we'll do our strength in pairs in a bit. So I can show you. But obviously that is another one which I will be looking at today. So let's just put this in the group as well. GBP USD. Now, buy. Now this is all dependent, right, on what happens with the dollar. Yeah, so we obviously want dollar to pull back at least into this area, and then it's going to give everything else a release here. Now, yen would also be one that I'd be looking at, but it's very, very weak. As you can see on all yen pairs, we had this massive gap open. We've just been ticking over to the upside. I do think USD JPY has been dragging it up, so I'm going to leave that one on its own. I'm a bit dubious about going in for, a buy, especially after we've had one, two huge days here. If you look at this from Friday close to where it is now, look how many pips this is. It's crazy, right? We're at like 340 odd pips. So, ooh, hold on. Yeah, we've got to obviously be aware of that. Right. So let's now go through Euro AUD, GBP AUD 2. We'll have a look at these overall and see obviously what we are doing here. And obviously then we can then, kind of work out, where price is heading. We've kind of got a little channel here, but I'm also a little bit dubious on both of these. Pound is going to be outperforming the Aussie, but not by a hell of a lot. CAD is pretty strong, so let's do our strength of pairs here. So we have got, we'll just go through yen. So strongest is still US dollar. It's flying. Then we got GBP. Sorry. Then we've got CAD. Then we got GBP. We'll go through gold after this. Then we've got Aussie. Then we've got Euro and Swiss. And then we've got, last but not least, NZD. And then JPY would be in there after Aussie. So somewhere like this. Yeah, that is what we are kind of looking at here. So I do think if we have a little bit of weakness on the dollar, you want to be capitalizing on these two pairs here. So we want to be capitalizing on CAD, which is what we spoke about, USD CAD. As you can see here, it's moving very, very nicely. That's obviously what we want here. And then pound breaking out, so all we're looking for here is a little bit of a pull back. It doesn't have to come into this area. It can come into, kind of here, but obviously we want this clean move, and then we want to be carry. We want this rejection to carry on. I think once we clear this area, we're going to see some nice downside movement here. So Yeah, that's obviously what you want to be aware of. But Euro AUD, I'd probably hold off because Euro is pretty weak, and pound, I just don't like it. I just don't like these, swings here. Even if we can condensed it with a higher time frame, there's lots going against it here. We've also had one drive to the upside, two drive to the upside. This might be the third drive before what should happen is, a bigger fall, which might happen, because obviously we've got if dollar is gonna weaken, that's gonna strengthen Aussie. So all in all, yeah, that would then have out of me if Euro's weak already, then potentially Euro AUD. But this is very, very messy here. If you look at all the support we've got here, it's just too much. You've always got to think of support and resistance as a brick wall, and if you're trying to break through it, you don't want many of them to try and break through. And if you look here, even on an hourly, you know, you've obviously got not only Asia low and obviously the bottom of the London opening range, you've also got obviously all of these below it too. So I think we'll probably stick to USD CAD and GBP USD here, and then potentially look into if we wanted an outside bet on a yen pair. I probably would go with something like what was NZD doing? Yeah, that's gone. See, I mean, NZD's a good one because we've obviously got this level here. Now, if this level was to break, then we'd then be looking. Yes, there's plenty of downside because it is overall the weakest pair. Have we still got those written on? No, I can't remember where they were. So yeah, that would be one that I'd have on the cards if we were going to strengthen it. And obviously we were going to get some dollar strength if we can clear this 99, then obviously we're going to be looking potentially next target for the dollar would be this one here. And then how much would that give us? That's a very nice little target here. I'd want it to break out of this opening range here. And then I would want to come up and test obviously this area here, which it can do. It's already moved 300 or odd pips. So there's no reason why, we can't do something like this. We'd want to close above here, retest here, and then have that continuation. But this is important here. This one here, it's got to close above. All right, and then that's gonna, signal intent for this to carry on. But this will be an alternative trade. So main focus is to look at the US dollar here, and then we can obviously look to capitalize on it. So I'm going to screenshot this one too. But it's all like I mentioned, we've got to work out what the US dollar is going to do this morning. So let's wait and see. Right, here we go. I'm going to put this as an alternative. So USDJPY, alternative. There we go. So you guys understand then what is happening here. Right. So yeah, that's obviously what we are looking at this morning. Um, does anyone have any questions? I've got a couple here. So let's have a look. Eddie, is it better to use the indicator lower time frame method before the 8 a.m. candle? It can be used. I actually think that it's worth waiting. All right. So what I do with the indicators is obviously I do 8 hour to 8 hour. So if you go on the 8 hour, you drag Asia or from Asia over to London. All right, and then what that does, one, it gives you Asia high and low, which is very handy, and then two, it'll give you the average volume. So I think as long as it's between, I like to wait until after 8 anyway to trade. I just find personally, prices sometimes look like they're going to come this way, and then they'll obviously duck out that way. So that there's a lot of manipulation early in every single trading, session, because obviously the most volume comes in, and obviously it's the most active time. So you do have to be aware of that, where price might look like it's going to drive to the upside, then it's driven down in completely opposite direction. Um, Scott looks like a possible entry for USD Swiss. Yep, let's just have a look at Swiss overall. Yeah, wouldn't be unhappy with that. Let's just have a look at this overall for Scott. So we've got eight. So right, we're obviously testing this, level here. I mean, I probably would mark it up because it's handy. And obviously, if we do get some dollar weakness, then yes, it'd be no problem. We obviously had our one, two, three drives. That would be obviously one confluence. We do have a key level to be aware of here, so just be aware of that if you do enter the trade to the downside. We obviously also, like everything, we want to monitor the dollar around this area here. So let's make sure that we monitor that. But yeah, USD Swiss. I mean, overall, it's probably, yeah, it's one of the weakest against the dollar. Um, let's just have a look. I just don't like trading it, but there's definitely a slowdown here. All right, it's definitely a slowdown here. So we obviously need to be aware of that. Um, but yeah, so what would I be waiting for? This would put me off here. This monthly to the downside. If we do push to the upside, yes, but then we also have to look at the overall daily range of USD Swiss and obviously identify, if you look at today, and remember it's only 8 o'clock in the morning, we've already moved 55 pips. That is more than it moved yesterday. It's more than it moved the day before, more than it moved the day before that, more than it moved the day before that. Yeah, so just be aware of that. That obviously how big a movement it's had, the chances of you getting this again are very, very slim. There is more chance of this pulling to the downside. So just be aware of that. Um, so look here, why is the USD continue rising despite February? So basically, it's been categorized as a safe haven. All right. So if we look at gold here, gold is flying, absolutely flying here. Um, Let me just go. I always do that. G gold is absolutely flying. So we obviously need to need to be aware not to sell it because this thing could continue. But obviously, dollar is being classed as a bit of a safe haven too. If you look, yields are down today and stocks are down. I do think we're due a bit of a relief, hence why the USD CAD and the GBP USD trades, so I definitely would be looking to buy these trades here and sell USD CAD. So yeah, that's one that I'm very, very interested in. So I'm probably going to hold it here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's good, obviously, to be, here, and obviously, we are, yeah, we're gonna have a good week this week. So yeah, I hope obviously everyone has enjoyed it, and yeah, let's make sure we hop on some good trades and understand the reasonings as to why we're entering them too. So have a good day, guys, and I'll be back at 2. Have a good one.